All right, hello and welcome to Political Voice. First, let's serve you a roundup of the latest political headlines in Nigeria and from around the world, beginning with NATO. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg's an unannounced visit to Kyiv on Thursday. He has said that Ukrainian forces are gradually gaining ground in their counteroffensive against Russian forces. Speaking at a joint press conference with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Stoltenberg said every meter that Ukrainian forces regain is a meter that Russia loses. He added that whereas Ukrainians were fighting for their families, their future, and their freedom, Moscow is fighting for imperial delusions. Over now to the Philippines, where the Defense Secretary has said his nation and the wider world has to stand up to Beijing's territorial expansion in the South China Sea. His comments follow increasingly assertive moves by the Philippines to protect its claim that shows in the South China Sea during more than a month of high-stakes maritime drama. While tensions between China and the Philippines over the highly contested and strategic waterway have festered for years, confrontations have spiked this summer, renewing regional fears that a mistake or miscalculation at sea could trigger a wider conflict, including with the United States. India's anti-terror agency has raided 53 sites across 7 states and union territories in a crackdown on what it says are terrorists and gangsters, some of whom it alleges have links to Sikh separatist groups. The National Investigative Agency, NIA, said on Wednesday it had seized pistols, ammunition, and a large number of digital devices during the raids, and that among those it had detained were several people with suspected links to pro-Khalistan groups. And that will be all for the global update as we now head into the main issue for today. Now, first off, we head to Kaduna, where the 3-man panel of the State Governorship Election Petitions Court delivered its judgment yesterday. But it was a judicial decision that became the poster child of the confusion that has greeted election petition decisions across the country in recent weeks. Well, if you had seen previous headlines that said Governor Uba Sani had been sacked by the courts, you may have to jettison those and be informed now that the Kaduna Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal has actually upheld the victory of Uba Sani as the governor of the state. The 3-man panel via Zoom on Thursday affirmed Sani's victory on technical grounds. The so-called technical grounds have become a notoriety. You're plaguing the nation's the nation's judiciary because as the name suggests, technical grounds are grounds or altars, if you like, on which substantive and material justice have become the sacrificial lamb. But where will technical grounds take our dear country? That's a big question. The panel, in a 2-against-1 dissenting verdict, ruled against the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Issa Ashiru for premature filing of the application for pre-hearing. The tribunal, led by Victor Ovuawe, said the petition is thus considered abandoned, as argued by Uba's lawyers. The PDP candidate has said that the ruling would be appealed, while appealing to his supporters to remain law-abiding. Now, Ashiru, in a statement, assured the people of Kaduna that he would pursue the mandate they gave him to its logical conclusion. Oh well, let's see how well he does that, and we wish him well in his endeavors. Well, my guest in the studio this morning is Moses Adebayo, who is an educationist and a public affairs commentator. Well, good to have you with us in the studio.
Oh, well, always a pleasure being here, and to the watching world, good morning.
All right, then. So, first off, the confusion that greeted Nigerians this morning from the Kaduna state. First, we heard it was 2-1, a ratio 2-1. That's the verdict that the governor had been sacked, and the court ordered a rerun. And then we saw another one that said, "Oh no, the victory of Sani has been upheld." What do you make of that that confusion?
Oh, welcome to the world of cliche. Let me say it that way. We're in a period, a season where all manner of things you can imagine, they keep flying around. It's a case where some wars will now, some new wars will even enter our lexicon politically. Some have been there. Oh, democracy has been raped. Victory for democracy, and all manner. Look, it's about time the judiciary cover themselves in glory, because if all verdicts, or most of the verdicts they've given so far, have been on technical grounds, then it doesn't bode well for what they call precedence in judiciary. So I remember when it was this Justice Shoemimo now, when I was about to pronounce the verdict in 1983, Shagari versus Awolowo, he made it emphatically clear that these judgments should never be referred to. Fast forward down to 1999, Omehia versus Amechi. The justice of the Supreme Court also said something like this particular judgment must never be referred to, and it does not help our jurisprudence if virtually all the judgment you give per time are not to be referred to. It tells that you've not done a good job. You just did it. You give political answers, and that should never be the path told by judiciary. They are not the executives. They should give judgment that is based on substance, so that this judgment can be referred to for as long as the country subsists. But when it's on technical ground, it's just like you when you I'm thinking of something in what I did in statistics. When you sometimes go through sampling is just taking like a tenth of the whole body, and that can not faithfully represent the entire thing. Technical judgments are not judgments that adequately captured and deep justice, because we go to court for justice, not judgment per se. But what we get at the end of the day is pseudo or quasi justice, something that looks like justice but not really justice, because that's what technicality offers you. So if this is what they have to offer, I heard the news yesterday. That's why I was a bit startled when I heard that he actually won, that the petition of PDP was dismissed. What I heard initially was that they had ordered for a rerun.
A rerun, yeah.
So I was wondering what's going on here. And mass communication, you know how delicate it is. Some people even run with the fact that, oh, what they heard was that his election has been nullified and there'll be a rerun. How many people would you go and tell that? No, actually it was not. That's not the case. But thank God for for platform like this, so educators men that will listen. Now,
do you think the verdict being delivered via Zoom played a role in this confusion?
Oh yes, very well, very well. Take what happened about almost 2 weeks now in Kano. Even the justices too, they didn't appear in court. They actually gave their verdict virtually, and no thanks to the rather acerbic, rather impatient, rather caustic public. We've made their lives miserable. Before the petition, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, before they gave their verdict, of course, which is being appealed in the Supreme Court, I remember I saw a video that went viral, and viral in the real sense of it, how that a particular church had the photographs of all the 5 justices praying and asking the congregation to pray against them. And in some other places, some even had their photographs asking people to pray for them. Has it gotten this ridiculously low? Can we go any lower? Society has become so abysmal. These people, they are not aliens. They are Nigerians as I am. They are not any less. So they know what obtains society. So they are threatened. No wonder judgments are being given virtually, and you can expect that the medium through which the judgment is given will surely have a role to play also. When the justices are seated, it's entirely different from when they are passing the judgment from. That could as well have informed why what we have were conflicting. Oh, it's been dismissed, it's not been dismissed. It's been sacked, it's not been sacked. But no thanks to the fact that these justices feel they are not safe. Hence, they still want to leave after giving them. They still have other things to do. They don't play roles as just justice. They are fathers to some kids, their husbands some wives, their wives some husband. They play many roles like that. So they won't, because of one case, lose their lives. But now we've got to the point, and social media, unfortunately, is not helping matters. It isn't. I hate to make scapegoats of social media because it's got its good ways too. But when these justices know that we are just endangered species there, I remember I was telling Esther of the radio station of our TV station here, our star station, that this arm of government, take it or leave it, they are now endangered. Let me see use the word.
The judiciary, right?
Oh yes. They now know that whatever we do out there is our lives are not, our safety are not guaranteed. So we can't afford to just be careless with our lives.
Nigerians have commented on why it has gotten to a point where we leave the decision of who governs the nation or who governs the state after voters have gone out to vote. We leave the final decision in the hands of a few people.
And it's not healthy.
3 to 5,
it's not healthy.
5 people.
It isn't.
What does this now say to the electoral body?
Look, this judicialization of our electoral processes is unhealthy. I heard a man I don't always agree with his views, Body George, complain about that. And I've had many well-meaning Nigerians, analysts, pundits, and what have you. It's unhealthy. And this shows the desperation, especially in the hearts of our politicians. They just won't let go. Look, when has it become a right that you just must be in power before you are relevant in life? I've given the example of someone like Benjamin Franklin. Today, his portrait dons the $100 bill in America. He never became America's president. But you talk in the same breath, Benjamin Franklin, when you speak Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, you also always, because it's ever relevant. It's ever relevant. So what told their relevance is about the office you occupy. So they don't see beyond this. And when they even get to offices, it has shown over the years that they don't affect lives. They only go there to feather their nest. So look, whatever the electorate, whatever their followers, their supporters do, it comes from their own posture. They give the body language that it's either me or nothing. It's either I become this or nothing. Even when some of them apparently lost. But they will come with all manner of tricks to their unsuspecting followers who don't really get to understand what has happened. And they run with the lies they tell them. So it comes from these politicians who are so desperate that if I don't get it, then nobody gets it. And it's about how we stop this. We can't go the Rwanda way. Nigeria is so big that if anything goes wrong with Nigeria, some of these countries, they still come back because maybe by virtue of their geography, their demography, they can still come back. Not Nigeria. How many people can Benin? Some of our neighbors. How many can they occupy? Accommodate?
Now, let's look at INEC now. Let's look at INEC. We have seen that if INEC does a proper, diligent work in ensuring that the voting process is transparent enough, do you think the judiciary will be overburdened as it is right now?
Well, as I've said, I'm not going to. The last elections, I'm talking of February 25th, March 18th, INEC did not do an entirely tidy job.
So what should be done differently now? What should there be a law that says, look, this is the way it should be done, not it's to the discretion of INEC on how to do it?
The electoral law, near constitution, because that's our ground norm. In fact, there are three levels of guidelines, if I use that word now. There's the INEC guideline, now, which is superseded by the electoral law, but in return, the electoral law takes its part from the constitution. INEC is duty bound to work with these three documents. I know from the electoral law how that INEC are not duty bound, because even the verdict given at the presidential tribunal made it clear that INEC, what the much vaunted beavers was to do was just to collate, and that was all. But INEC could as well discretionally could either put results together as in manually if maybe anything goes wrong with the machine. And that they did, because though yes, we keep wondering what abracadabra happened. If it's work for the Senate, it's work for the House of Rep. How come when it comes to the presidential? But they've given their own valid argument that at the point when it comes to presidential, the whole country is one constituency. Unlike the very many constituencies, the Senate, for example, has 109 different districts. The House of Rep 360, so they are balkanized. Unlike when it comes to the presidency, it's just one. And sometimes you will experience this. You want to maybe do transaction or maybe through your phone, you get network busy, because at that point, I mean, as an educationist, I go through this with students. When you want to go and register for JAM, sometimes I tell them, look, the first week is always very jam-packed. In 4 weeks that JAM has given, I would advise you to go the second week, because the first week, sometimes more than 1 million people want to access the same net at the same time. So it's not normal that there will be log jam. So that's their claim. I'm not a member of INEC, so I'm not speaking for them.
All right then. Now let's take a pause. Now let's look at There's a video that shows the PDP supporters erroneously celebrating the tribunal victory. Let's watch that one now. There you have them, supporters of the PDP there, jubilating when they heard the verdict as they understood it. They were celebrating there. Look, this is victory for us. It would be nice if we could get audio to this one. Okay, and now imagine going from this, all right, going from this to the APC supporters making a statement. This is the APC lawyer making a statement there.
And today, in the ruling of the tribunal, it agreed with our position, and it has said that the PDP and Isa Aishiru have really abandoned their petition as far back as 30th of May 2023, and it has dismissed the petition as being abandoned. But since by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the decision of the higher court, they are mandated after dismissing the petition to look at the petition and see whether there is merit in it. So on that, they found out that on the allegation of rigging of the election, that they talk about violence, ballot box stuffing, and corrupt practices. The court said they have no proof that there is no merit on that. But they said, of course, in its wisdom, majority of them, they said, based on the document from EC4TG that are submitted, there are 22 polling units to which election were cancelled and which they have 16,000 registered voters who have collected their PVC. So the INEC ought not to have made declaration without conducting election in those 22 polling units. So the tribunal say, assuming it has not dismissed the petition, it could have ordered for election in those 22 polling units. So that's what happened. So on the petition has been dismissed, but it has looked at the admission. They say that it has looked at the merit of the petition. They say the tribunal held that it ought to have ordered for it had ordered election in 22 polling units before final declaration can be made. But the decision as such now is that the petition has been dismissed.
That's a leading judgment.
No, not leading judgment, just that the decision, because there was ruling and there is judgment. In the ruling, it has been dismissed. So it is, if the Court of Appeal found that the ruling is wrong, now the judgment will come into being. Thank you. What happened today is the tribunal, if you remember, when in July agreed with our position, and it has said that the PDP and Isa Aishiru have really abandoned their petition as far back as 30th of May 2023, and it has dismissed the petition as being abandoned. But since by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the decision of the higher court, they are mandated after dismissing the petition to look at the petition and see whether there is merit in it. So on that, they found out that on the allegation of rigging of the election, that they talk about violence, ballot box stuffing, and corrupt practices. The court said they have no proof that there is no merit on that. But they said, of course, in its wisdom, majority of them, they said, based on the document from EC4TG that are submitted, there are 22 polling units to which election were cancelled and which they have 16,000 registered voters who have collected their PVC. So the INEC ought not to have made declaration without conducting election in those 22 polling units. So the tribunal say, assuming it has not dismissed the petition, it could have ordered for election in those 22 polling units. So that's what happened. So on the petition has been dismissed, but it has looked at the admission. They say that it has looked at the merit of the petition. They say the tribunal held that it ought to have ordered it had ordered election in 22 polling units before final declaration can be made. But the decision as at now is that the petition has been dismissed.
That's a leading judgment.
No, not leading judgment, just that the decision, because there was ruling and there is judgment. In the ruling, it has been dismissed.
All right, that's
so
Sani Musa speaking there, trying to explain the verdicts of the tribunal. Now, basically, now the tribunal chairman did say that the tribunal chairman and the member did say that for the appeal brought by the PDP and Mr. Ashiru, it wasn't meritorious because the filing of the pre-hearing notice was abandoned and out of time, and therefore had dealt the entire petition a fatal blow. Now, well, it went on to say that the tribunal noted that if the petition had not been dismissed for lack of merit, it would have ordered a supplementary election in 22 polling units within 90 days. If it had not been dismissed for lack of merit. So,
clearly, that is what I guess, what some PDP members ran with. And that is the problem that possibly ensued because it was a verdict given virtually. Technology can be manipulated. What can be done today? Just about what can be as in doctor today. So they heard what they wanted to hear and they ran with that. And that is a recipe for chaos, even for disaster. But now they will smell foul play. Good enough, Guba issues in Nigeria have 3 steps: the Tribunal, Appeal Court, and even to the Supreme Court. So this is a case like many cases in in other states too, that will go as far as the Supreme Court. But what we just don't want is this. Let me go back to what I said earlier. A case where politicians have it as this do or die posture. If I don't have it, then nobody has it. It's not helping anybody. With this now, some PDP members and their sympathizers in Kaduna State will feel shortchanged. You said it that if it had not gone, if they had not made some mistakes, let me just paraphrase now, it could have been a case of a rerun. But they heard that. Possibly when they were even listening, there was, you know what happens when there is this issue of Zoom or whatever, at the risk of giving some cheap publicity. They possibly heard, oh, there was a rerun. Unlike if the justices were there in person, they would have heard it clearly.
Okay, now, these technical grounds, I'm going to come back to it. I know I
understand.
We've touched on this, but it's laughable when you look at it. So basically, is the judiciary saying, okay, let the man who was declared winner continue in office, regardless of the fact that we know that he didn't get the entire votes of the people? 22 local governments, but because you didn't report on time. Your report is a few hours late.
Your question is still very relevant.
Let's allow.
Did you hear what the justice? I think I hope he get it. I say it wasn't just to show him more. He told he looked at Awolowo then of the UPN that it's a case of my hands are tied. That has gone is one of our our greatest point lines. My hands are tied. In what he was saying, what he inferred was that actually I want to do the right thing, but I can't. But he now made it clear that this judgment should never be referred to. No thanks to the shoddy job done by the Fedeco-led Justice Oviewski-led Fedeco then. And what transpired 40 years ago is what is repeating itself again. Because INEC, as I've said, they didn't do too much of a tidy at all.
So as Nigeria makes to celebrate its 63rd anniversary as an independent nation now, what can we say the judiciary, I mean, what role has the judiciary played in ensuring that the leadership in this country represents the desires of the people?
The immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria that left on was it Mukhtar now? Before Ariwola, I remember when he said that when he upbraided, he cautioned, he lambasted, he reprimanded some justices, some even suspended, that they've made the judiciary so hideous that people now see them as laughing stock. Then ex parte motion was the in thing. A court that has no power, no jurisdictional power or influence, will just meddle. They become meddlesome interlopers. Rulings were flying left, right, center. On just in a particular day, 3 rulings can come from different courts of the same level but at different division. So it became just all manner of things. A banjo market. So he was forced to step in. He suspended 2 justices, I remember. He represented, as in there were 3 involved then. He suspended 2, he reprimanded 1. So I refer to what he said then, that if we continue this way, this arm of government will become the pathway to Nigeria's destruction. He was emphatic.
Is that what we are saying?
Is that not what we're saying? It's not getting all the more, all clear that the judiciary, if you base all judgments on technicality, what you have done is that it's like sampling. And sampling does not faithfully represent the whole picture. It's like you've taken one, just if I borrow your words, I know you didn't really get the vote of the people, and you don't even have to be the governor, but you still be governor because of what? When the judiciary decides to go political, then we are not safe. Even during Yar'Adua versus Buhari, I remember it took the Chief Justice then. So just coming that, look, we know that this shouldn't be, but for the sake of peace, that should never be a path told by the judiciary. They should, Artemis, the lady, the non-biased lady that is blindfolded, because that's what they represent justice. He does not care. On the one hand, she holds a scale.
Well, justice in Nigeria is not blind. It looks at
some have said that I think the blindfold has been perforated, that she can actually see. So she knows where she wants justice to tilt and where she applies the sword. And it's look, when the justice system of any country collapses, to say chaos or anarchy is in town is just child's play. The country is on the path of destruction.
All right. Now, we've seen that in 2 places, Kaduna and Kano, elections, petitions, judgments was delivered virtually. What was the fear and why so? At
the risk of answering this question again, but I'll be glad to say, maybe for emphasis sake, the reason is this: the justices don't feel safe at all. They know that they are out there, they are in danger. They know that they are not guaranteed that they may go there to the courts, to the tribunal rooms, and not come back alive. That is the reason they would rather opt to give their judgment or whatever now as in virtually. When has it become? Because look, it's a case of social media has become.
And are we also afraid of a breakdown of law and order?
Inevitably, that's what will happen. Social media, as I was saying, my line of thought is that it has become a harbinger for all manner of the good, the bad, and the very ugly. When photographs of justices are now paraded and they become so exposed, even their family members are exposed, you think they are safe? No, they are not. They are not naive not to know that we can't continue. I can't afford to go to the court in person. We can't do that. No, we can't. I won't be surprised if even the Supreme Court, the one with the final, the division with the final authority, when they are, as in, you can't go any further than that. If they decide to go that way, because the justices, why? Okay, during the presidential election, of course, you observe that we could see other faces, but did you see justices? We couldn't see their faces. They were shielded for, and that was not for, as in just for fun. Because already, all my life, since I even became so politically savvy, I can only tell you, I can't imagine seeing the faces of justices. The maxim as grave as a judge, it's not for fun. They are not known for frivolities. They are known for gravity. They are known for, they are sacrosanct. A judge is like a god. His words carry life and death. But we've so trivialized them, we've made them look so banal, so ordinary. And it doesn't augur, it doesn't bode well. They're not safe. The reason they choose to go virtual, to deliver their verdict or judgment. So, and no thanks to, as I've said, some desperate do or die politician that is either I have it or not.
All right. So now, one would ask the question again: if truly the desire of politicians is to serve, then shouldn't we question the do or die approach that they take to get to power?
Moses, clearly, what those offices offer themselves is the reason these people just want to get there at all costs. They will go any length. They will descend so low to borrow even from pigs, if that is possible, just to get to office, because they know that it's only in Nigeria that in 3 months your life is so will take a 360-degree turn. You become super rich. Nigerian offices, from my estimation, about 10,000 elective offices we have in Nigeria, over 80,000 appointment offices. Those 10,000 offices, from all 3 tiers of government, all arms of, as in the 2 arms of government where you vote in now, because judiciary you don't vote in there, they are so greasy that an average politician knows that once I get into office, whether as a local government chairman or governor or senator, whichever role that is elective, they know that their fortune, which is unfortunate, is so monetized. So that is why they will do anything. As in anything, they go diabolical. They do all manner of things that cannot even be described to get to office, because they know what it means to get there. And by the same token, those that lose, they know the heavy losses they've incurred not getting that office.
Now, I know we've had this conversation many times over, but we will not stop having it until something is done. What are the steps that can be taken to make political offices less juicy, so it will be less of so politicians will be less desperate to serve? Because service means, you're taking orders from people, but in this case it's not the same.
You keep
and that's
sounding,
because it's juicy.
Each time you...
I'm sounding like this because I have hope.
Oh, of course, I'm equally hopeful and eternally hopeful at that. Only that, again and again, you remind me of Woodrow Wilson. You sound idealist. Okay, who are those? Because this only calls for reforms. It comes for amendments. And I keep saying this. Many Nigerians, we are very quick to respond where it doesn't matter. When we should, we don't. When amendment for constitution takes place per time, it's made public. An average Nigerian can as well approach any venue where the amendment is taking place in his jurisdiction. It could be local government, it could be a district, senatorial district, and like that. But you hardly find Nigerians there. And you know what we do? When we express apathy here, we've only given them the power to do whatever they want. We always have the opportunity per time. Even sometimes when these parties make their doors, or when they fling their doors open, oh, come and join us, come and register. You know what we do? We don't care. Now, when they now bring out candidates that we don't want, we start complaining. When actually we had the power to join them, so that, because when we have sizable number of Nigerians, because don't forget about when they come up with their phantom registers, APC has 40 million, how many people go there? PDP has 50. Then when they were even in power, PDP, the strongest party, the largest party in Africa, says who? It's just academic, pure academic. In reality, people, But when Nigerians fail to join them, make the most of where they can actually affect and effect changes, we leave those signs, we leave those real roots, we now tackle the symptom, because it is in the power of the party to throw up any candidate. When the delegates are bought, we know what transpired there. When their primaries are on, it's always a case of money bags having their way. But a case where Nigerians put as well, you have to buy all of us, which is not possible for them. But when they have those few people, they can easily monetize, they can easily sway. They bring out candidates, we now start complaining, but then it's always too late. So when it's time for us to go for, when the amendment time comes for constitution, they bring it to your doorstep. Go there, make your as in ventilate. Let them know that you don't want this, because when we participate actively at that level, it becomes very impossible for them. This is a case of case of amendment, because for this to happen, for offices not to be so juicy, then there must be amendment whereby we could even take Senegal for example. At the point they felt the Senate was not, it was not relevant anymore. It had become obsolete. They scrapped it. They only have their House of Rep. So those senators, the then senators, became jobless. In some other countries, their legislators are on part-time basis. They go there, they have their work, they still have their duties, their profession, but they go there part-time. So those offices are not juicy at all. But here in Nigeria, it's a full-time job.
All right then. Well, let's hope that things will change for the better. It
will change if we Nigerians now we exercise our powers when we have the opportunity. Otherwise, we'll keep saying this even years and years to come. When next the door is open for amendment and they bring it to your doorstep, very close to you, please participate.
All right then. That's a call to Nigerians to participate in the common good of all. All right. So let's move on quickly to the second topic that we're treating this morning on Political Voice. Minister of Works David Umahi on Thursday, yesterday, locked out staff of his ministry for resuming late to work. Now, it was gathered that the workers staged a protest following Umahi's decision to lock them outside. And according to the protesting staff, who were chanting, "Umahi must go," they argue that they reside far away and there was no way they could come to the office earlier than they did. Now, one of the senior staff explained that some of them reside as far as Gwagwalada, Kefi, Abaji, Kuje, Kwali, and Kaduna Road, satellite towns. The staffers said sometimes they join others who have cars to reduce the cost of transportation. However, it was reported that the minister later allowed them in, but they refused to enter the ministry's building, insisting that he must come out and address them. And according to them, they want the former Ebonyi State Governor to take measures about their late coming. Well, they added that he did not warn or issue any circular to inform them that he was going to lock them out. All right, so now this scenario played out yesterday. It's a funny one, really.
Umahi, welcome to Nigeria.
When I saw it, I couldn't help chuckling. Now, there are two sides to this now. Two sides. First off, the workers coming late. The minister, I was going to call him the governor. The minister, former governor, yeah. The minister got there at 9:30, entered, and it was alleged that he told the security men to lock the gate, and whoever enters, whoever came after was locked outside. And we had 300 members of staff of the Ministry of Works and Housing locked outside because they came later than 9:30. What does that say to the attitude to work, first off, before we talk about transportation and distance?
Moses, my respected uncle, look, when they say Nigeria happens to you, then this is what we're talking about. A few parastatals or departments make Nigeria exactly what it is, a very, very inhabitable place. A place where virtually nothing works. The ministry. I know of an elderly, well-respected broadcaster now. Even though he doesn't call them civil servants, he calls them evil servants. These are people that look. I said it earlier. Umahi, welcome to Nigeria. Nigeria is happening to him. He means well, but it reminds me straight away of Madam Grange. Is he Adiola Grange now, former Minister of Health? When they came to this woman, a woman with this sterling, impeccable record, she had it very well everywhere she had served until she became the Minister of Health. And they rubbished her. They messed her up. They went to her with 10 million naira cash. 10, this is in the public, so I'm not forming anything. 10 million naira cash. And they told her, Madam, this is how we do it here. She said, I don't want to go and do the way you want. And they did what they had to do. But these are principalities. They are lords and masters of diabolism. As in, let me refer quickly to what my late dad told me, and his friend, who is still alive, confirmed it. A particular man was brought from, I think, the United Kingdom to head a department, a ministry in Nigeria by virtue of his academic qualification. Do you know that guy, the first day in office, he died? How? Oh, those that have been there for donkey years, they did something, and they said later that we thought it was a man. They actually planted something on his chair. The man that came in, well-meaning, well-intentioned, sat on the chair, and that was he passed on. These people are doubling. Let Umahi know that first, these are two different positions. As governor, you could do and undo. As minister in a ministry, emphasis in a ministry. A friend of mine, a friend of mine is a director in one of the ministries in Lagos here. This is a man that has resigned to nature. As in, he is so, in quote, helpless. He has those that are more powerful than he is. One of his members of staff, a woman at that. No, I'm not disparaging, I'm not being sexist here. So clearly, this is how I've been doing it. The woman goes to work when she likes. And whenever she's around, apart from what she does as a civil servant, she sells other stuff, other wares of ours. She sells recharge cards in the office. And at a point, the man had to just create a space for her to do that. The director. It's funny, right? That is a real thing. A friend of mine who is a director. That is a metaphor for what happens in the ministry.
Now, this
Umahi, welcome to Nigeria.
Okay, as it is now, these are the same, civil servants are the same people that NLC is clamoring for in terms of minimum wage. Well, we'll talk about the minimum wage. Now, with these complaints and also looking at the story in focus now, David Umahi, the Minister of Works, and the members of staff under him now, what transpired. To shed more light on it quickly, they were locked out for 4 hours, and he was locked in because as it happened,
overtake.
As it happened, when they realized they were locked out because they had directors there, they had members of senior staff there, they called their colleagues inside and they came out. The union switched off the light, so everywhere was in darkness. Air conditioning, of course, was not. It did not work, so everybody had to come outside. So there were people locked outside, people standing inside, and then protest ensued. Governor of Lagos actually went there to see the minister, on a courtesy call. Unfortunately, the governor could not go inside. Minister could not come outside until he apologized. He actually did apologize.
He did. I know what you're talking about.
He came out to apologize and said, okay, I will consider the reasons that you've given, transportation and all of that.
Sorry, Moses, if I have to hijack this. Did you hear what the labor leader, I think William Coutinho, that's the name of the man, how insubordinate he sounded? As in, he looked at the minister barefaced, told him, even if at all you want to scold us or reprimand us, you have to do that through the palm sec. He told that to the minister.
Now, this is where I'm coming to. Should we now blame the civil servants in focus now, members of staff of the Ministry of Works, for why things have not been working in the ministry. Remember, the minister also said that he doesn't want papers to stay beyond 2 hours. Was it 2 hours or thereabout?
Thereabout, yeah.
On each table. Now, he has been accused of high-handedness, bringing consultants to look at things when they have professionals in-house.
Did you hear him say, I need you and you need me? When he said, I cannot do without you and you cannot do without me, did you hear how they responded? They let him that we can do without you. They told him point blank.
Now,
he had to be retracted.
How do you see him succeeding with everything that is playing out?
David Umahi now knows that whatever it was to be a governor is totally different from being a minister. These are people who, they don't give a hoot about who you are. Some of them have been there for 2-3 decades. Let me paint an average day in the ministry for you. One, it's a place where Moses gets to work by 9. I got to work maybe a tad earlier. We are supposed to resume at 8 o'clock. You get there by 9. You even saunter in. I train at 8:30. Yet, when you go through the roles, when you go through your register, someone pardon?
Go ahead.
Someone that got to work by 8:30, his name will appear even ahead of the one that got to work before 7:30. And it's so cacophonous, so incongruous. You begin to wonder what is going on here. And they let you know.
And by 1 p.m.
1 p.m. And God help you, if you ever need to do in the ministry by Friday, they don't even go to work on Fridays. Thursday, which they should be at, seated on their desk or whatever, they leave as early as 1 on Thursday because their own weekend starts on Thursday.
Now, do you think...
They are so indisciplined?
Do you think what happened in the Ministry of Works in Abuja would have happened anywhere else in the country?
It is not peculiar to the Ministry of Works. In fact, if it has the appellation ministry, then maybe in degree.
No. My question now is this. The audacity with which the workers decided to lock the minister in because he was alleged to have locked them out. Do you think that audacity would have been displayed anywhere else in the country?
Maybe in the private world, in the private sector, no. Of course, insubordination is quelled immediately. You are a man of stature. You know what obtains in saner climes. So a subordinate will dare not do certain things. So you will not do to your superior. I work in the private as well. There are things that will never. But in the public, in the government ministry, above all things, they have this feeling, they have this job security. So fire someone in the government department is almost as like going to the moon. Because it has to start with query, and there must be numbers of query, and it has to get to the desk of the bureaucracy. So they know this. So they know that they are almost unsackable. They know. That is why they are brazen. They call the bluff of any. A minister is just a political appointee. It's just there for a period of time. They've been there for years, decades. So they know they can't be sacked. That's why they do what they do. They let anyone know. And as I've said, they even go diabolical. That is why any minister that, look, if he is the world, if you want to go there, you had better know what you said. Because they might as well go to the point as in eliminating him. So he's got his cup full. With what happened yesterday, he knows that he's in for it. And David Umahi comes with this sterling reputation. I hope he lives there untarnished. I hope he lives there untainted. I hope he lives there a full man. Because allegations have been flying. Imagine, he got into office on the 22nd of August, barely a month. Yet they are saying Umahi must go. Umahi must go. These are what happened was just a tip of the iceberg.
All right. Now, that's on one side. Now, let's look at the fact that shouldn't government provide housing, low-cost housing, actual low-cost housing for actual civil servants in such a way that there is proximity between where they live and where they work? So the issue of not getting to work on time would be curtailed at least. And then if you now don't get to work on time and you leave like some 10 or 15 minutes away from the workplace, then they know that this is just gross insubordination. An
example, a real example comes to mind readily. The friend of mine who as a director now in the Ministry of Transportation, when he got into office, he opened some books. He got to know that at least about 5-6 times, if I remember correctly what he told me, there are some memoranda that have been signed that this and this and this have been done, duly done. That was on paper, but in reality, no way. Oh, some roads have been tarred, of course, by virtue of Minister of Transportation, they get to work along with Minister of Works too. Some roads have been tarred. When they actually got to those roads, you will be told that in the last 2 decades, not the smallest of asphalt has not gotten here. Whereas in the record books, they've been tarred. So this is what obtains there. The Minister of Works, or whichever minister at all now, in a Nigerian ministry, he knows that even if they are to provide low-cost housing, if it goes through the books, it will be well recorded, well documented that they've actually given out all it should take to build these things. But I've ever heard of some directors who are rich in dollars in Nigeria. They are just ministry workers, but they are so rich that, where do they get the money from? These are people that they believe they are not accountable to anyone. Everything goes there. So it is the cesspool of corruption, and that is even understating it. Everything that is wrong with Nigeria is metaphor in the ministries. That is why when you say you want to fight corruption, they look at you and tell you, who is your father? We've been here long before Azikiwe became Nigeria's president, and they will tell you. And if you are not that person who is so strong in whichever thing you think you believe in, and whatever, God help you leave the place. Great comes to mind easily. That minister, the woman had as an impeccable, sterling performance. Everywhere she walked, she leaves the place better. But when she got to the ministry, Obasanjo was so happy, he was upbeat that I've employed the right person. But Grain left the place with her tails between her legs. She left the place disgraced because they let her know that you, and she's just one of the many people that went to the ministry. Umahi has a lot of work to do, a lot. And it goes back to in the 70s when Murtala Mohammed, our then head of state, he actually wanted to sanitize the ministry. But at the point, he overdid some things. He threw not only the baby with the bathwater, he threw virtually everything away. And when they now came back, is the proverbial demon that when he leaves a particular space, he goes roaming. When he comes back and finds that place empty, he comes with 7 more wicked demons. That is exactly what happened. Because Murtala spent just 6 months in office. So when Obasanjo, his successor, came in, Obasanjo didn't really go in that line. So they re-employed many of these people they sent away in the first place. They came back even more determined. And that's why till date, the ministry will take something almost of divine proportion to sanitize them. Because as I've said, they are unsackable. If you go by their organogram, how they are employed, how activities are done there, it's almost impossible for you to sack even the lowest person there. It's almost impossible because you've got to go through many before you get to the governor's table. Maybe 4 or 5 years has gone. So it's that, and they know this. That's why they are brazen. That's why they are disciplined. That's why they don't give a hoot. They don't care. They know that you can't come here. You stay maximum 4 years or even at most 8 years. We've been here for donkey years, so you can't do anything. That's what they told Umahi. Somebody was even telling, a friend was telling me before. Yesterday at night that but the country that Wiki. I said, let Wiki know that. He was even complaining not so long ago that he was to give a world press conference. I'm talking of the minister of FCT now, but that the mic was not working. The microphones were not working. Said, welcome to Nigeria. He was ranting, Wiki is usual, feisty, boisterous. Why would this happen? But they let him know afterwards.
All right then. Well, unfortunately, this is where we have to wrap this conversation. We will continue here off the air, of course.
Mahi, welcome to Nigeria. Honestly, when I had this, what really even triggered me? Sorry, because if I have to just take this a few seconds. The insubordination, the arrogant stance of I think William Kuti, the man that their spokesman for the erring civil servant, he was so bold. What you dare not do to your superior in any sane line. He was telling the minister that even if you think you should reprimand us, you should do that through your palm sec, not you. He told it to his face. He told him to. I wonder, Umahi, welcome to Nigeria.
All right, then. This is where we'll drop anchor on the program today. Thank you very much,
A pleasure.
Moses Adebayo, for coming on the program. Well, government will also do what it should do in terms of providing necessary infrastructure. Transportation is a problem right now, of course. So workers are having to spend a whole lot more, and sometimes they do the pool ride. So it's also on government to ensure that it's either you provide CNG buses, as you have said you were going to do, provide a means of transportation, or better still, increase the wage of workers. So that aspect can be taken care of. And if workers are also paid well, they probably will have enough to rent accommodation within the places where they work. But here we have people living, far away, miles away from where they work. That is on one side. Now, the issue of insubordination and lackluster attitude displayed by civil servants, that's another thing entirely. And right here, we're against that, and we say to build a nation that is worthy to be called, a nation that is working, and everyone should put their hands on the plow. Everyone should get to put their hands on the, and get to work. Really, do what you have been employed to do. Be diligent in the labor that you are laboring. Be diligent in the work that you're doing. That's our stance. That's my stance on for that one. And that's the show for today. On behalf of the team, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day.